Hello and welcome back to Ahead of the Game, Sports Pez Jez, Tux Sports Takes, 4bets.com.au. Yeah, nice and easy. Bang,
Mm,
bang, straight in.
good, good. No singing. Well done. You've lived and you've learned.
Today we're going to talk women's state of origin quickly, just a bit of a recap on the game and the whole spectacle. What you're watching this weekend and bang, bang to finish us off. Short and sharp, in and out on a Friday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Bob. Ryan,
All right,
first.
first.
Oh, no, you're here. First. What did you think of the game? Of the women's game?
Was that what you're going to say?
I was,
What we heard?
no, I was going to say something smart, but I kept it to myself, so I just tried to avoid it.
Okay. No, I thought the game was good. I didn't have well, I had high expectations going in. It's an Origin game. You expect a tough battle. You expect hard hits. You expect the best players playing, and my my expectation though was a little bit dampened because of the lead in to the game. Given
Mm,
the most of the ladies haven't played a game since August to September. But despite that, I think they played extremely well, given that what do you call it? Preparation or the lack
mm.
of preparation. I don't think you could see in their gameplay, in their tackling, in their running, that they haven't had 6 games or 10 games under their belt over the last 3 months.
Well, you did in the Queensland team, didn't you?
Maybe that's just
You could say.
their ability.
Oh, okay. All right. No, but they were in camp for quite some
Six
time.
weeks.
Yeah, so like that's all right, I guess. But it's still there's nothing like game simulation, and I don't know. It felt like at times though Queensland were a little bit flat.
Yeah.
Is that preparation, or is it just the better side won? A lot of new faces. It was a good lead up. Like to be honest, I don't follow the NRLW so much, but covering over at bets.com.au, we dived into a little bit and spent like way too much time on it. Like when you have your workspace and you got, okay, I've got an hour to write this game and an hour to write that tip, and spent way too much time just diving in because it's obviously interesting. You start to
Yeah.
get into the statistics and sort of really work out, okay, what's going to happen in the game. And it was interesting to see that New South Wales, they lost. They've been a little bit dominated, and they made some changes, and it's obviously paid off. They've got some young
Mm.
blood in there, and like they were good. There was a couple of like really good slick tries, like you said, where you didn't realize, okay, you guys haven't been in training. You've been training for 6 weeks, and it's new combinations, and
Yeah.
they did awesome.
Well, that was one of my points in the write up, that I don't think the combinations have had enough time to gel, and that would
Mm.
mean that the
Aged well.
experience, yeah, of Queensland would get them across the line. But it's interesting. Your first try scorer article that had it's the article with the most views on the site over the last week of any
Mm.
sport, racing, footy, anything, and it's fantastic
Mm.
to see. And that's kind of off the back of what I really wanted to speak to about here. It's how far this format of the game has come, and like
Mm.
the skill, the toughness of the women on show in this game was fantastic. And I think the only negative I have is was the commentary of the
Mm.
broadcast. It seems so flat. Like
Mm.
Gus is great, and he was given a lot of encouragement, but he wasn't the normal Origin Gus where he's shouting and
No.
he's getting up, and he was given really nice, good words and good insights, but it was still flat. And
Yeah.
given the game, they played in front of a record crowd at Suncorp. It was 26,000. They have, it's the biggest women's Origin crowd. I think maybe the biggest women's crowd ever. And
Mm.
even I thought watching the broadcast, like, shit, there's a lot of people there. There's not a lot of empty
Mm.
seats. And
Yeah.
the spectacle of it all, it deserved a little bit more feeling from the commentary. I don't want to make it a kind of women versus men thing, but the women were fantastic. I don't remember her name,
Mm.
the one that was commented. She was so good, just letting loose and
Yeah. But I
saying,
think like it's making the call where they're, I don't want to go down what's right, what's wrong, or the past, but I guess we can sort of speak about how you're using the commentators that generally commentate the men's game, that are invested in the men's game. Can say it right now. Wasn't really invested in the NRLW before, so obviously takes you time with your preparation. You don't have a feeling, an emotion, a connection maybe to the league as much. So it might be something that needs to be looked at. Yeah, you're trying to use obviously the star profiles that you have covering the men's game, but you need to have people even in the commentary box that have that heart for the women's game, that follow it from
yeah,
week to week, that know the ins and the outs and all the players and their situations and storylines, because that's what creates good commentary and creates good stories and creates the emotion you want to hear in the television or
yeah.
computer back to So it's like,
Were you going to say
one
radio?
thing, radio back. Yes, in the AM FM radio that we listen to. Uh, so it's just like, I think it's hard. You've got to obviously have the big profiles, but maybe less of the normal commentators that they usually have, and bring in people that are really invested in the women's game, because
Yeah,
that's going to make a difference in the product that you
yeah.
put out to the people.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to hear is kind of exactly like you said, people that are coming into the game that maybe haven't watched a great deal of NRLW. They
Mm.
know just the superstars, and that somebody on that commentary team can give more insight and can
Yeah.
teach me as a casual observer who these
Mm.
people are, why they're in the spots they are, what they've achieved, what they could achieve.
Mm.
And I think that just would lift the whole concept to a new level, because the gameplay is there, the characters are there. You see just little things on the field, the way they act, the way they interact with each other,
Mm.
the vision of the players. Was fantastic. Just the way the New South Wales halves, as we said, I didn't think the combination was gonna be so good to start with,
Mm.
and considering the positional switch as well. But
Mm.
man, the passing game was there, the ins and outs, they did well.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Very exciting. It's good to see, and it is. It's like it is years and years of work,
Yeah,
like on the field, off the field, behind the scenes, business management, brand management, that have all come together to create a spectacle. Perfect to do it on Thursday night before Magic Round. Get the crowd, get people involved, invested in it, and
yeah.
create more fans like us. 100% sold now. Like,
Mm.
you go, it's probably the second women's game that I've watched, and now I want to know more. I can't wait for the next Origin game.
Mm. Would you think that would it be beneficial, or I wouldn't say beneficial, but maybe to put that game on the Saturday and just have two NRL games? Either you have it in the middle of the two NRL games, or in the beginning or at the end, and give it more of a platform than the Thursday night.
Yeah, yeah, but I think there's a lot more to it than just going, okay, we obviously swap it out. You've got TV rights and stuff with the
Yeah,
NRL teams, and you're going to have to deal with all of that. Like, yes, it probably would be great to have that wedged in somewhere, but then you've got to start, I don't know, an NRL game a little bit earlier, or do you like, I don't know. But Thursday games ultimately are the like biggest games, at least for us, when we're writing and stuff. They're very, very popular. People follow the Thursday game quite a lot, so you wouldn't think they'd be losing a lot of ratings, but maybe there's not as many fans able to come into Suncorp on a Thursday night because people still got to work Friday, or
mm,
whatever. So
yeah,
yeah, like,
no,
it'd be good. Maybe you wedge it in as a fourth game on a Saturday, but I don't know if Aussies can handle 4 games in a row on a
no,
Saturday afternoon.
no. We've seen that at Vegas. It's too much.
Yeah, yeah,
All right,
yeah.
let's
That's
get
right. That's right.
into what. Oh, that's the wrong one.
Mm,
Did I not do a title for this segment?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think I did.
I don't know. No, don't worry about it.
No, let's just go then. What you're watching?
Yeah.
What are you watching this weekend, Posse?
Man, there's so much on. It's another mad weekend of huge games. Watching, probably, despite Magic Round being the highlight, I guess, of this weekend. The matchups in AFL are much tougher. Like it's rivalry round basically. I don't know, is it officially rivalry round or is it just ended up rivalry round in the AFL? Because like it's brutal.
I think the AFL always talk about or try to be like, oh, we don't care about anybody else. We just do our stuff. But you see consistently that they try to compete, and
Mm,
they NRL did Magic Round, then the AFL started Gather Round. The NRL started doing this Vegas thing, and then AFL came with Opening Round, and then now
mm,
on the biggest day, like of the regular season calendar, or the biggest weekend of the NRL, all of a sudden you're getting these
mm,
derby games. So
mm. Well played.
like it feels like they're trying that that's a tactic from the
Mm,
AFL.
mm. Yeah, well, it's smart because it's worked. Because I'm less interested in Magic Round and more interested in the AFL. So they've done a really good job. It's like, where do you start? So obviously Sydney GWS, Brisbane Lions versus Gold Coast. That's the massive biggest QClash in history. Second versus third. If the Gold Coast win, they have a better record than Brisbane because they've got a better percentage.
Mm.
So all of a sudden they take over. Like it's cracking. Like, but the dominance in that game. Like I wrote the article yesterday, and Brisbane have won 10 of the last 11, and by an average margin of 48 points.
Oh, whoa,
So,
whoa,
like a couple of
whoa.
huge wins in there that obviously pushed the margin. But I think last year Brisbane won both games by 28 or more. Like they haven't been
Mm.
close.
Wow. You would
So
think that
it's
last year they would have been a lot closer given the relative success of the Suns
yeah.
through 24.
Yeah, and Suns, the one game they did win was the last game in 2023. So you think they would have come in
Mm.
with confidence. I think I got burnt on that last year, actually,
Uh,
as you do.
as you do.
Um, yeah, but so many good games to watch. Collingwood Geelong's going to be massive. Even
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Adelaide Carlton, not a rivalry game, but also going to be huge. I'm also interested in Hawthorn Richmond because Hawthorn have been were a little bit off, and then had a big win against West Coast. Richmond have been much better than I thought they were going to be this year.
Mm.
So I don't think Richmond are going to win, obviously, but I think it's going to be it can be a close game. Richmond have hung in there. They hung in. They played 3 good quarters against Melbourne and just bombed in the third, and that's why the margin blew out in that one. But
Mm.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to follow Richmond and see how they develop over the
Develop.
next couple of years because they've
Yeah.
certainly got the young kids and the heart, and it feels like they're getting things together at the club. So it's going to
Mm.
be good to watch. But what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm on the same train as you a little bit. The Sydney GWS game is one that sticks out for me, and
Mm,
just purely because both teams are um, not underperforming, but they're
mm,
under delivering on expectations.
mm,
I think they're performing to really what they maybe are right now, given the rosters, the injuries, the things like that.
yeah,
But it could be quite a pivotal game in terms of kind of um, ladder placement. The Swans just
yeah,
have 8 points.
yeah,
They lose this, they lose touch quite a bit
yeah.
with the top eight.
Like 3 wins out basically from the top 8 if they lose
Yeah,
this.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and even for GWS, it's more of a fact for them to stick with the top four,
Mm,
and not risk falling out of the eight. So
mm,
it's quite a pivotal game, and we speak about these type of games. We've spoken about it before with both with AFL and NRL. Now the AFL ladder is a little bit more split than what the NRL one is currently, and we spoke about that the Panthers are only 2 wins out of the eight, despite being last on the ladder.
yeah.
But here, with these kind of, it's almost like a double win or a double loss because you're playing against a team that's maybe going to occupy the spot you're looking to get later in the season.
Mm,
So, and with the split, there's already 16 points, 4 wins that separate Collingwood and Brisbane in the top, and Sydney, Melbourne, and Richmond down
mm,
in 14th to 16th spot. So quite a big gap there to fill for those teams.
Yeah, it is. But I wonder why that's the case. Like, why does the AFL, a whole nother podcast idea, but does the AFL need to do something about, I don't know, do they go to something like a relegation type system where you're bringing up teams from the VFL and teams develop lower? Do you think that would work? Because you look at teams now like West Coast and North Melbourne that have been at the bottom for such a long time. Is there are there VFL teams that would beat them?
Yeah, very possible.
In all seriousness,
very possible. I think
is that
you'd
something
have to
that
have
they need to do?
a big restructure of the system, because you have VFL is obviously the reserves for these teams, so you're getting a lot of AFL quality players in those teams anyway because they can't crack the big one or they're too old or whatever. But I think that has more to do with club or roster management, and maybe the inefficiencies of general managers and list managers in these clubs to not stick or not hit their draft picks or recruit badly. I think that plays more of a part in this, and I think maybe the father son rule, which and the there's a rule around bidding that if a player is from your area or you've helped them develop, then you can bid on them in the draft, and it costs the other team more to draft them, and that's why you're getting the Dacos guys at Collingwood, and you're getting all of these other players that coming from a good pedigree that are star players through their fathers, and they're coming back to these clubs that are already winning, and it's like, okay, well, if Nick Dacos had went to North Melbourne, what would they have been right now, or Richmond or whatever? So,
but it's something that needs to be fixed, do you think? Because it just feels like so. You got teams that are just rotting down the bottom for long periods. Like they're just going. I guess you're just going in debt. It's not good for the business. It's not good for the club. Do you lose fans?
I think there's, no matter what, you're always going to have ebbs and flows, and the other aspect is, you have elongated times of just middle. If you look at compared to the NRL, it's like you have your top four teams that are essentially winning premierships all the time, and the teams, maybe not the same team on the bottom of the ladder every time, but it's always the same teams that are 6th through 12th, and that never really have the opportunity to win a premiership. Whereas in the AFL, you see that there's teams that are constantly coming up and winning premierships, but then you have that big ebb and flow of going to the top and then going to the bottom and then coming back up and going back down. And some of them take longer than others. I just think they need to get better people in the areas to recruit properly and have a better idea about how to run a club.
Simple fix.
Simple fix.
Get you on a plane straight to Melbourne, mate.
The other game in the NRL that I am excited to look at or watch, it's the Sunday game between the Panthers and the Broncos, and kind of on the fact that we spoke about a little bit earlier here, that it's a do or die game for Penrith, really. And it's not so much the fact that around the competition points, it's just what signal it sends to everybody else in the competition. If they lose this game, then people are going to, or other teams are going to look at them. Oh, it's almost a schedule win. We know how to get past this Panthers team. If they can't show up in defense, I think it's going to change the mentality that teams have against Penrith. And
what did you tip?
Brisbane.
All right, the end of the dynasty.
End of the dynasty.
Wow, it's crazy, man. It had to happen, I guess, right? But it's a wow moment when it comes to reality that that they're all over. Like,
And I wrote, I just want to kind of do a bit of a shout out here as well. So in the article, I've referenced the Rugby League eye test, an account on Twitter and the website as well. Really, really good analysis of NRL and not stuff that's your run of the mill. It's really deep. It's original analysis and it's fantastic. And he looked at the Panthers defense and where, because obviously they're letting in a lot more points this season than what they have over the past 5 years since their dynasty started. And he looked at where teams are playing the ball in every single game, every single play of the ball, every single game throughout these years. And there's no major difference this year compared to the past 5 years. And so that means, okay, well, their teams aren't getting further up the field. They're still good in run meters, opposition run meters, the Panthers. They're still good at not allowing teams to get inside the 20. But what's happening is they're allowing teams to score from long range, which they never did before. Like there was, I think, a stat he wrote about a few weeks back where they'd only let in, I think, 6 tries total from outside their 30-meter in the whole of last year. And they'd already let in 8 tries from that range by the time the game against the Dolphins was over.
Yeah.
And
then they let in 3. Yeah, because they let in 3 against the Dolphins or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's like that type of analysis I think is so good. And it gives a bit more depth into when I'm writing the write up, the preview for the game. It's like, okay, well, how does that affect it? And what does it mean? Is that something that they can fix? Who is the person, or who are the people making the skill errors or doing the wrong decisions to allow those line breaks? And what does it mean for the Broncos who like to do those one of the best teams in making line breaks and can have that's forwards pushing through the middle and creating space on the edges, which is exactly what Penrith don't want. So
yeah, interesting, man. It's gonna like I don't know. That sort of analysis is so awesome. And it's better than just they're shit. They can't stop anybody out on a wing, mate. Like
that's
it's
good
proper.
as well.
It's proper. Yeah, it's proper pub ammo that you impress the ladies with. I think, right?
Yeah, 100%. All right, still a bit of bang bang, eh?
All right. What are we banging? Who are we banging? Oh, bang bang!
Well,
right, it's supposed to be one of these shock bets. It's like I don't know, almost like an underdog or a long odds.
Isn't
a
it a
long odds
verse?
or an underdog, or what?
Was it on this show we did the Georgiadis
Yeah,
versus Chol?
yeah. No, we don't talk about that part. We're not talking about
Okay.
that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you are up 1-0. You're up 1-0.
1-0.
Georgiadis kicked 2-2. Chol kicked 3-2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, you're up. But how are we going? What are we going to go?
Georgiadis missed one from right in front.
Yeah. Crazy.
I think he kicked it into the guy on the mark or something when it was.
No, it's a standard.
It was
standard when
atrocious.
when I'm betting with my real money.
Yeah.
We're not just virtually betting. When you actually lay down cash, then those sorts of things happen to the best of us. Okay, well, how are we going to piece this one? Have you got something that you're red hot on, or are we just going to hit something straight out of the air?
Well, I got a couple of things. Like Bulldogs 13 plus is something that I really like, and also Ryan Pappenhausen.
But that's an easy, like, yeah, all right, yes, go. And Ryan Pappenhausen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've tipped him again to score first and to obviously anytime try scorer, but I want to maybe go out on the limb and say he'll score twice.
Okay.
Against the Raiders.
All right. Do you think it's a fair bet? You have
to match that level.
Yeah. All right. So let's go. Let's do something try scorer. What time is it? All right. Eels Sharks game scores. What about Dylan Brown to score just one try? Is that at the same level as Paps to get 2? Are you
Has he
taking
scored
that
this
on a
year?
head-to-head bat? I don't know. I think once.
Didn't you do the write-up?
Yeah, but that's not what
Wasn't
it's
he in?
about.
Yeah. Wasn't he a try scorer in?
I backed Dylan Brown to score a try, but it's more based on he's scored a few tries against the Sharks previously, and also I just think that the way he ran the ball he hasn't scored tries against the Sharks. It was the Sharks that have let in tries to halves over the last few weeks.
Okay.
I think 3 tries in 3 games Sharks have allowed to opposition halves. And I just think Dylan Brown running game was just phenomenal. Now Mitch Moses is back. He's going to run at the line. He's going to score a try. Are you going to take that action, or do I need to go deeper?
No, I think that's fine. The betting site that I'm looking at has shorter odds for Pappenhausen to score twice than for Dylan Brown to score at all. So, and it's
There you
not
go.
by a lot. So it's tight. It's almost parity.
Yeah, perfect.
So
All
lock it in.
right, we're on that. Lock it in, Eddie. Could be all over in the next 2 hours. No, well, you still have to win. Paps still has to get 2. Who are they playing? The Raiders. Ooh, there's a lot of points. There's a lot of points there.
Points. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This is
the Raiders,
exciting.
a lot of points in the Raiders too. That's going to be an awesome game. Storm Raiders.
Yeah.
It could be brutal.
It's going to go over. Going to be 60 points in that game.
Yeah, the Bellamy factor, Ricky Stewart buddies. Are they buddies? Yeah. Did they play together at the Raiders?
I think so.
At the start of Bellamy's time.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what I wrote about, that Bellamy's coaching will severely affect the Raiders' ability to
Yeah, but you hate Ricky Stewart because he...
Yeah, I don't rate him.
Because he ruined the Roosters.
He won a premiership.
He come in, yeah, but he come in when the premiership was already won. He won the next, his first year. The team was built, and then he smashed it down.
Yeah. Wasn't it with him at the helm they won the wooden spoon? I think so.
Yeah, probably went from winning the premiership to the wooden spoon.
Yeah. All right.
Craig Bellamy. I just want to see who's older. Oh, Craig Bellamy's 7 years older than Sticky, Icky, Ricky.
Icky, Sticky.
There you go. All right. Bang, bang. All over.
Good work. Nice and quick. 28 minutes.
Yeah. Quick game's a good game. All right. Just remember now, out there, all y'all, if you want to stay ahead of the game, then hang with Sports Pez Jez and Ryan Tuck's Sports Takes, and you'll know everything about everything or nothing at all. Bye-bye now.